Avatar: The Way of Water came more than 13 years after the first movie. The plot revolves around Jake Sully, who falls in love with a Na'vi named Neytiri. Sully and Neytiri go to great lengths to keep themselves and each other safe. But have you ever wondered who's voicing the actors we see on screen? In this video, we'll discuss all the famous actors you didn't know were voice actors in Avatar 2. First off, Sam Worthington. In the movie, the main character, Jake Sully, is voiced by Sam Worthington. Worthington's back in the spotlight with this movie, which he hasn't done much of in recent years. Instead, he's been focusing on smaller films like The Shack and supporting roles in miniseries like Under the Banner of Heaven. Sully fell in love with Neytiri after he joined the Avatar program and helped the Na'vi beat the humans in a fight. At the end of the movie Avatar, Sully gives up his human body and becomes a Na'vi for good. He's also the leader of the Omaticaya in Avatar: The Way of Water. He has 5 kids with Neytiri. This includes 3 biological and 2 that are adopted. Worthington's been in movies like Hacksaw Ridge and The Last Son, and TV shows like Jag. He's also played Sully in the Avatar movies. Up next, Zoe Saldana. Zoe Saldana voices Neytiri, Jake Sully's wife, and the daughter of the former leaders of the Omaticaya. Saldana played characters like Nyota Uhura in the Star Trek movies and Gamora in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. She's also played Neytiri in the Avatar movies and been on TV shows such as From Scratch. When asked about what it was like to voice the character again, she talked about how it felt great to see the franchise mature after over a decade. Saldana felt good about sharing the movie that she loved so much with the world and felt the reintroduction was a chance to start over. It was also fascinating for her to be a part of the sequel since it was mostly about putting in love and hard work to make something the whole team liked. In the interview, Saldana also talked about her work ethic and that filming the sequel kept her quite busy. She's also starred in many other sci-fi franchises since the first movie, and even though she felt a bit tired of them, she was still glad to be accepted into the industry as an older actor. Followed by Sigourney Weaver. Kiri is voiced by Sigourney Weaver. Weaver played Dr. Grace Augustine in the first Avatar movie. She was a human scientist who sided with the Na'vi and died in their fight with the humans. Even though she was dead, it turned out that her Na'vi avatar had given birth to Kiri. Weaver also plays Dr. Grace Augustine again in The Way of Water. In the Avatar movies, Weaver played both Kiri and Dr. Grace Augustine. She's also been in movies like Alien, Ghostbusters, WALL-E, and Finding Dory. In an interview, Weaver talked about her adopted family and how Dr. Grace Augustine's like a mother to her. She said Neytiri's a great mother, but she thinks her character strongly connects with Grace. Weaver sat in on classes at New York's famous LaGuardia High School for the Performing Arts to get ready to play a teen. There, she saw a wide range of teen behaviors. When Cameron first asked her to be in the movie, they talked about making a girl who was more at home in the forest than with people and had a connection to plants and animals. Moving on to Stephen Lang. Lang voices Colonel Miles Quaritch, a human in charge of the RDA's security forces when they fought with the Na'vi. In the 2009 movie Avatar, Neytiri killed him, but the RDA brought him back to life as a recombinant, an avatar with the memories of humans. He now wants to get back at Jake Sully and the Na'vi. From what James Cameron's told us, Colonel Quaritch will be the bad guy for at least the first 3 movies. That's something Cameron pretty much declared way back in 2013. But his character will change in ways we can't expect. Lang's been in movies like Conan the Barbarian, Girl on the Train, and Don't Breathe. He also played Colonel Quaritch in the Avatar movies and was nominated for a Tony Award for The Speed of Darkness in 1992. Next, Kate Winslet. Kate Winslet voices Ronal, Tonowari's pregnant wife, and a freediver of the Metcaina. The actress told us how she first met Cameron at a fundraiser she did with her husband. She also shared that she was cast in the movie because she loved her character from when the director sent her scripts for The Way of Water. For Winslet, performance capture sounded like an exciting process that she couldn't wait to try. The first movie was fantastic for her, and her kids couldn't stop talking about how excited they were about this one. Even though her part wasn't huge compared to how long the shoot was, she was glad she'd still get to work with everybody, including the main characters, for about a month. This movie was Winslet's first time using performance and motion capture on set. She's been in movies like Titanic, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and The Reader, for which she won an Oscar. Not to mention Cliff Curtis. Tonowari, Ronal's husband and the leader of the Metcaina, was voiced by Cliff Curtis. Curtis has been in movies like Training Day and Live Free or Die Hard, and TV shows like Trauma and Fear the Walking Dead. For Curtis, Tonowari was an idealized version of his ancestors. Tonowari showed him that we live in a time when the land and the sea, where we live and get our food, are connected in the same same thing. Curtis talked about what it was like playing the character as a member of the Maori community. He said his ancestors used to go under the water with sea creatures. They had stories about the relationship between dolphins and whales that talked about these things. They used to fly on giant eagles, according to stories. He talked about how back home in Aotearoa, there were stories like this, but they were more like myths. Curtis believed that Tonawari was a romanticized account of how his ancestors lived. He kept track of the days until the movie came out and when his friends and family could see him on the big screen. Let's learn more about Jamie Flatters. Jake Sully and Neytiri's oldest child, Neteyam, is voiced by Jamie Flatters. Flatters has been in movies like The School for Good and Evil, in addition to playing Neteyam in the Avatar movies. When he was asked about when he joined the movie and why, he said he'd always known that he'd one day try out for a part in the franchise. He just didn't know which part he'd try out for. The actors recalled that he chose to do a scene from The Breakfast Club for the audition and to go with an American accent. The last audition lasted a week at the studio and included free diving training. That's when he discovered that the role was important and wouldn't be done with an American accent. Then, he had one last audition with Cameron. Casting told him he was too old for the part, so he didn't think he'd get it, but he did. Jim told Flatters a few months into filming that he thought it was cool that the actor knew about sailboats and how to tie ropes in extraordinary ways. Coming up, Britton Dalton. Britton Dalton voices Loak, the second son of Jake Sully and Neytiri. He's also been in movies like Ready Player One and TV shows like Goliath. In the video game Uncharted 4: A Thief's End, he voiced a young Nathan Drake. Britton Dalton talked about how James Cameron wrote Loak so that the actor could shape the character in any way they wanted. He talked about how the character was written in a way that left much room for interpretation, and how he talked to Cameron about the best way to play the character. Dalton had gotten advice to put his heart and soul into Loak while staying true to what was written. As Dalton talked more about Loak, he painted his Na'vi as a rebel. The actor said he was kind of a screw-up because he gets into trouble and does all this other stuff. Next, Trinity Jolie Bliss. Trinity Jolie Bliss voices Tuktiri, Jake and Neytiri's second daughter. Bliss has worked on movies like Turning Red and the Avatar movies with Tuk. In an episode of the TV show Mr. Corman, she played a minor character named Susan. This was her first time on screen. She also plays Alexa Garcia on the HBO Max show The Garcias, where she works with TV veterans Carlos Lacamara and Ada Maris. Even though she was only 7 years old when filming began, Bliss learned to free dive for her role in the sequels, and she, along with her other child co-stars, got pretty good at it. She could also act underwater for 3 to 4 minutes without taking a breath. Jolie Bliss was only an infant when the first movie came out, but from the very first audition, she fell in love with the world of Pandora and wanted to be a part of it. In an interview, she talked about how much she likes voicing Tuk, who she believes wants nothing but to protect her family. Finally, Bailey Bass and Jack Champion. Bailey Bass voices Soraya, also called Rhea, the daughter of Tonawari and Ronal, and a free diver for the Met Kaina. She's also been in TV shows like Law & Order, Special Victims Unit, and Interview with the Vampire. Bass started acting in 2011 when she played Cammie Blair, a minor role in A Little Bit of Heaven. Since then, she's made more high-profile TV and movie appearances. Early on, Soraya was called the young Neytiri of the ocean. This was probably because they were both daughters of the leaders of their clans. Because of her family history, Soraya is likely to play an essential role in the Avatar sequels. Jack Champion voices Miles Socorro, also known as Spider, a teen born in Hell's Gate, a human base on Pandora. Jake Sully and Neytiri save him and take him in as their child. The actors worked in movies like Avengers Endgame and TV shows like Under the Dome. And on that note, that's a wrap for this video. Which of these actors voiced their characters the best? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one!